Alright, what is up? For this video, I just want to show getting the xorg, properly setting up xorg for your device. I see a lot of people are noticing I had xorg open on every GPU, and on one of them it would take up about 50 megabytes, on the other it would take about, 4 like it's shown here, and then on the main one it would take up a little more. Something like 150 maybe. So the xorg is a manager of input and output devices. It handles a wide variety of stuff. It handles how the hierarchy of the windows that you see. It handles the input and output communication between programs and the device. It handles the screen output communication. It does quite a bit, so you definitely need some kind of window system. So you definitely need a window system of some kind. Here's the documentation on the xorg Foundation. So how to get it off the GPUs. First we have to create the config file. Alright, so to install or to set up the config file, you need to sudo nvidia-xconfig -a. I've already created it. That will create the config file for you. And then just sudo nano xconfig. And that will open up the config file for you. So we start with the server layout, basically a definition or declaration of all the sections and devices that correspond to the sections. We have the option to auto add GPU to false, that I added in there, and I commented out the 2 screens that I will not be using. So we go to the device section, and here are all of the GPUs that you have available. I have device 0 as my 960. That is the device I want to use for graphics. So in the screen section, I have the screen with the device matching the device that I want to use. I'm pretty confident that if you have 2 screens and your GPU can handle it, you can set both of the devices to the same device and you shouldn't have problems. I will post some documentation for the devices that you do not want to handle any graphical output. Use the option use display device none, and make sure that any of the sections that none of the sections mention the identifier for the devices that you want to use as standalone CUDA processors. And then after you edit the xorg file, to make sure you save the changes, exit out, and reboot your computer. When you reboot your computer, if you have any problems, the computer doesn't boot properly and gets hung up on the terminal, you might see an ACPI error or something like that. You can Control Alt F2 and it'll open up a new terminal where you can access your system through the command line. Edit the xconfig file from the terminal using nano or vim or whatever. Those will be your options to revert the changes or fix anything that might have been an issue. I was getting that issue because I forgot to comment out the screens here and they weren't defined, so it was giving me an error saying that these were set, although they were not, although I had the use display device at none. Something like that. Other than that, I didn't run into any bugs with this. It was very easy to use, just reboot and ready to go. So that's it for that. Everything's running fine. Just I have HTOP up here. I have the NVIDIA GPU process monitor here using the Daemon. I have the NVIDIA SMI kind of graphic here, and I have the Harmony running and the Cheekbox running. So it looks all good. Peace.